Welcome to a Practice Pro CPD, brought to you by LAWPRO.
Hi, I'm Judah Stravchinsky, Director of Practice Pro, LAWPRO's Claims Prevention Program. Thank you for joining me for this talk on tips for making the transition into and succeeding in the practice of law. In this module, we'll go over some tools to help you find your place in legal practice and share some tips for success for the long run. We'll also review some resources available to help you on your journey. So let's talk about tips for making that transition from law school into practice. Part of the transition is deciding for yourself what path you'd like to take. You get to pick from all sorts of maps or draw one for your own path that you're going to carve out for yourself. It boils down to this key question, which is what kind of lawyer do you want to be? That's a deeply personal decision, and there's no divorcing yourself from the lawyer you want to be. So you want to honestly take stock and assess what makes sense for you. What are the things that give you joy? What are the things that light you up, that make you excited? The flip side is another question which sometimes can be hard to be honest about, but really, what do you not enjoy doing? You might as well try to aim to play to your strengths and interests. There's a lot of literature out there around professionalism and how you can find your own space in the practice of law. There are legal ethics teachers and writers like Nathan Crystal who talk about creating a vision of what kind of practice you'd like. And there's lots of practice management literature on this as well that really gets to the practical. Questions like, what kind of clients do you want to attract? Who would be your ideal client? Would it be individuals? If so, what kind of individuals? Are there particular communities you wish to serve? Particular income brackets? Particular geographical communities? Are there particular businesses that interest you? Particular industries? Particular not-for-profits, charities, or governments? What will your practice areas be? Are you interested in the interaction between individuals and the state? Are you interested in corporate commercial, in real estate, in other niche areas like cryptocurrencies, for example, or Bitcoin or blockchain, or perhaps even cannabis or other emerging areas? How do you want to practice? Do you want to practice from home? Do you want to practice with others in a shared environment? Do you want an environment where it's all for one and one for all? Do you want autonomy that you can get only by working for yourself? And of course, what kind of life do you want? Because being a professional doesn't just mean that you practice law. You're also a human, and you get to decide what kind of life you want, and your profession is part of that. It's hard sometimes to know which path to take, but your life choices, which perhaps we don't talk about enough, are really important pieces to put into that decision on what kind of professional identity you would like to take on, what kind of lawyer you'd like to become. Things like what kind of hours you want to dedicate to the profession versus other outside interests is a key question depending on which field you'd like to enter. We all know that there are some places where you can work and that will be a significant part of your 24-hour day. There are other areas that are focused more on a 9-to-5 environment. There are some where it will ebb and flow. How much do you value time on task and becoming a true expert versus time in other areas that might help define you? What level of income do you need? What kind of income do you want now and for years ahead? Of course, it's easy to do some business intelligence analysis. You can check job ads to see what types of posted salaries are available, what sort of rates are available for working for legal aid, what sorts of rates are available for others. And you can have honest conversations with lawyers and with your peers around these to try to feel more comfortable of what makes sense for you. And of course, there are other deeply personal factors to consider as well. At the core of it, questions like, do you have or wish to have a family? Do you have other family commitments? Do you have other community commitments? Geographical constraints, geographical ambition. Perhaps you've always wanted to live in Northern Ontario. Perhaps you're bound to live somewhere because of where your loved ones are residing. Regardless of what they are, they must be taken into account as you decide how you want to begin your path. No doubt your career development office is telling you about the need for networking, and this isn't just about networking to meet people for the short term. This is about starting to build your social capital or to continue to build your social capital in the profession. This is how you can start to make contacts and learn about what others do, what makes them tick, how they manage all of these different constraints and balance the different parts of one's life, and also to learn more about what might fit well for you. These are opportunities for you to meet potential mentors, to see different types of styles, to see different types of practice structures. For those of you who are contemplating private practice and possibly going out on your own or joining colleagues who are newly called to the bar in a new firm, we have resources for you to honestly assess what it takes to become a sole practitioner, because this is no longer now a question of substantive law, but also becoming a small business owner. This will help you assess where you're at right now and what strengths you have and where there may be opportunities for improvement before you hang your shingle. For more tips on how to succeed in the transition to the practice of law, go check out our student magazine. We've got tips regardless of what area of practice or what career path you may be looking towards. And for those of you looking at setting up your own firm, you need to start with the basics, with the budget and the business plan, and practicepro.ca has templates that can help you on your way. We also have a managing series of booklets that will help on issues such as developing marketing plans and running a professional services firm. Mentoring is something that is vital as you start on your path. It's always helpful to have people in your corner who are not just championing you, but also teaching and helping you as you navigate the complexity of practice. We at LawPro have been championing mentoring for many years. We even have a booklet on it so that you can get the most out of your mentoring relationship. And there are formal mentoring programs now for you to explore, such as CAN, run by the Law Society. It's the Coach and Advisor Network, which is available for all lawyers and which will help match you with a mentor. And in time, with experience, you then can become a mentor as well. It's worth remembering that there's a lot of different areas of law these days. The barrister-solicitor divide is the tip of the iceberg. There are all sorts of specialist positions that are either available now or waiting to be created. Here's an example of an animal attorney. We've also heard of lawyers focusing solely on global warming, solely on cryptocurrency, solely on cannabis, solely on e-commerce, solely on privacy, solely on particular areas of employment law, disability law, accommodations. There are all sorts of areas of law out there, and you can pick one that you're passionate about and specialize. Mike Whelan is a thinker and a lawyer by training and a writer who talks about how it's great to pick an area where you aren't going to coast, where you get to use your brain and stretch, and you get to do that. You get to choose where you can find a meaningful, challenging practice area, and one way to do that is to specialize. And of course, as 2020 has shockingly demonstrated, change happens. And sometimes it's for the best, sometimes not. We can't control all of these external factors, but how we react or how we determine how we will respond will matter greatly. And so we need to learn to embrace change and be flexible. And in a profession that has grown up on precedent and who has scored poorly on resiliency tests, this may be a challenge, but embracing change will be vital. And I'll talk about a few of the resources available for that in a moment. For private practice or life in general, it's good to expect the unexpected and to make a disaster plan. In our personal lives, that might mean thinking about what levels of insurance we might need to make sure that we're protected and our loved ones are protected. In private practice, it means making sure that we have a plan for managing practice interruptions. These are the types of risks that don't happen every day, but when they happen, they can be significant, and they're not just related to pandemics or to natural disasters. Unfortunately, there can be challenges in our personal lives as well, and health issues that may prevent us from being able to practice. And we need to be prepared so that we don't leave our clients in the lurch. We've got tips on how to manage these breaks and these interruptions. At practicepro.ca, we have a dedicated resource just to this issue. So here are a few tips for the long run. So first, I think it's worth pressing pause for a second to just notice and recognize how hard you're working, and you should be proud of it. It's always helpful in the long term to keep in touch with your peers, keep in touch with your communities. It's at times an isolating feeling when you're drafting or preparing. The law can feel like an isolating profession. And so having that peer network helps us reemerge and see the forest instead of trees and be able to see that we're part of a greater community and to know that we can all work together to move towards the positive change that we envision. It's also important to take our breaks. And this isn't just from a wellness perspective, although, of course, taking breaks is important. It also helps our productivity. The studies are clear, and we have separate resources around time management uh, where we talk about this at length, but taking breaks actually helps us with those aha moments. It helps us as well when we have to do focused work to take breaks so that we reduce strain. Taking your breaks is simply the best long-term solution to make sure you're doing great work and not burning out. And one way to stay healthy and balanced is to spend time with the people who you like and who like you too. That can be family, it can be friends, it can be community, but it's important to remember that there is life outside of law as well. Thankfully, we're having better open conversations about health and wellness. And that's a shift that we've seen predominantly in the last 10 years or so. It's great as well that we have the Member Assistance Program, which LAWPRO funds in part together with the Law Society of Ontario. The Member Assistance Program is a confidential health and wellness service. We don't see anything about it, neither does the Law Society. It's operated by a third party, by Homewood Health, and it's provided free to all lawyers and paralegals. And importantly for you, and essentially for you, it's also available to law students as well as your families. The MAP offers a range of services. It has lifestyle coaching. It also has e-courses. It has a peer-to-peer support network. It has short and longer term counseling as well on a confidential basis. It really is an incredible program, and I'd encourage you all to at least log in and have a look at the resources that are there. The key takeaway here is that you get to choose. It's your decision how you want to practice law, and there are all sorts of different ways you can practice these days. You get to also shift your practice along the way to meet your needs. LawPro has resources to help you enter the legal profession, and there are lots of other resources available to support you along the way. To learn more, here are a few additional resources. To get started on your path, check out practicepro.ca. Under the Practice Aids section, you'll find the new lawyer resources, as well as the Managing Booklets series. You'll find precedent materials, retainer letters, and technology tips to help you on your way. Thanks very much for watching. Feel free to connect with me personally and follow LawPro and Practice Pro on Twitter. LawPro also is on LinkedIn. We look forward to staying in touch. Thanks very much.